All right, welcome back here, 2011 Chicago PSP Open. We're here in beautiful Joliet, Illinois. It's actually very beautiful out today considering the weather that's been happening this week. And I'm Matty Marshall. I'm up here with Mike Hinman, the legendary coach and player, Team Dynasty right now. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Voice is getting a little hoarse just from trying to help people out here on the sidelines.
Well, it's kind of standard for you, though, you know? I mean, you're very into it, always screaming from the sidelines.
It is, but now they got rid of that Dorito side coaching. It's helped me out a little bit this year, but hey, it's going well. It's a nice day in Chicago. You know, it could be 100 bazillion degrees out, and thank God it's not.
Yeah, exactly. This is perfect paintball weather. It's slightly overcast. We had a beautiful morning, not a cloud in the sky, and the clouds have rolled in here. So, but again, perfect paintball weather, slight breeze, and we are about to watch Edmonton Impact take on Chicago Aftershock, hometown, right now. And who do you like in this game?
Oh man, it's a tough one. You know, you fear a team that goes 0-2 the first day like Aftershock because they know they got to come out swinging hard. Impact's a really good team, though. I think it's going to come down to paint. Whoever can get their paint to break. I mean, Shock's a GI Sports team. Impact's is a Drax's team. You know, a lot of the manufacturers, I think, made their paint for 90, 95 degrees, extreme humidity, which Chicago usually is.
Absolutely.
And now we've got 70s and no real humidity. So you see some paint issues, you know. Use too brittle, too hard. But all in all, if I'm going to put my money up, it's probably going to be on Impact right now.
Yeah, actually, you know, Chicago Aftershock and Edmonton Impact have met each other 4 times, and every single time Impact has beaten Aftershock by an average of 3 points. So the edge definitely has to go to Impact. Now, Aftershock, they need to get something going this year because they haven't won a game yet this season.
Then that's rough.
All right, so on the breakout, you're looking at Chicago Aftershock right now on your screen as they double up that back center. Got a gun shooting towards the Dorito side and on the Snake side.
Shock shoots the Impact corner. Tim Montressor out of the Snake side.
Yeah, so that's a big loss for Impact over here. Tim definitely handles his business on the Snake side of the field. Look at this Aftershock playing very aggressive, both sides of the field.
Aftershock.
Yeah, G2 and Impact just scrambling around trying to do damage control. G3 as they have a player now, 2 players left. Here comes Chicago Aftershock pressing their advantage, coming up the field on the Dorito side, getting into the 40-yard line. Dorito, oh, look at this. Impact loses another one. Scott coming out of the insert bunker on the Snake side of the field. So
one guy left.
Yeah,
yep,
so
that's it.
And that is going to do it. Last player's going to tap out. And here comes Chicago Aftershock as Brad McCurley streaks down the Snake side of the field. And the crowd definitely in favor of the hometown favorites here, Chicago Aftershock. So it's, you know, Mike, talk to me a little bit about this. It's kind of disappointing to see Aftershock come off such a good event that they had at World Cup last year as they lost to the champions, Russian Legion, and they got whooped by the champions. But before that game, they played a great event, and they really, I thought, were going to be hopefully moving towards being a little bit more cohesive of a team, but this year just really disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing in paintball is, as a whole right now, I mean, even like at our team Dynasty and Aftershock, I mean, maybe the Russians are the only exclusion to the rule. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of turnover on a lot of teams right now. I mean, it's just where the sport's at right now. Your recession's hurting people. There's no real money. Teams are having to stay local. Aftershock's had some turnover. Jeremy Solom, their coach, is no longer with them. So I believe Jake Whitaker, ex-Vicious Shock Midwest guy, is helping now in the box. A lot of turnover, you know. I mean, but I think if you look at the scoreboard with Shock, for instance, a lot of their games have been close. They've had a lot of 1-point games, you know what I mean? And yeah,
which is even more frustrating.
Yeah, no, you're so close, but yet so far, you know. But you know, World Cup, to take nothing away from Shock, they played really well. If you look at the brackets from World Cup as we were playing that event, you know, we were looking at it, and they were on the opposite side of the Dynasty bracket. And I made a comment. I said, everybody that comes out of our bracket will end up 1st, 3rd, and 5th place, because that's going head-to-head. Our bracket was, at that time, in that space and time, a very tough bracket.
Absolutely.
And Russians, Damage, and us were 1, 3, and 5. It was just how it worked. The Russians were playing lights out there. Shock's paint shot very well. That was GI's big jump into the market. Everybody thought their paint was shooting really well that they had made. And I think it worked well, you know. I mean, 2nd place is rough, you know. You feel like you're there, maybe a little more to get over the top. And, you know, paintball's a finicky game. On any given Sunday, anybody can step up. I mean, Ironmen go from having a rough event in Galveston, and I believe, if I'm right, they're going to be in tomorrow playing the top seed out of our side. You know what I mean? So.
All right, so we're looking at the breakout here on your screen. There's Impact trying to make something happen here as they lost that first point, getting to the insert bunker right behind the Snake, immediately guns up down that line, trying to work his way into Snake 1. On the opposite side of the field, you're looking at Aftershock, same bunker, opposite side of the field. They have a little bit better field position over here.
Shock and Impact both lose one about the same time. Wow.
But now Impact making moves on the Dorito side all the way to the 50-yard line. Dorito, and at that same moment, Aftershock able to get into Snake 1 and then immediately all the way past that. San Monville able to get to the 50-yard line in Snake. That move is mirrored by Impact.
G2 for Impact. Nick, ooh, G3, so seen, Nick, G4.
Nice job. Look at this now. Impact trying to get on the board here. Just one player left in the back corner, and he is just going to be a feast for, it looks like that's Schultz. Who is that? Scotty. No, it's Scotty.
That's one thing about this field compared to the Galveston field. This field, you can feast on either side. Galveston was a little tough once you got to that 50 Snake or around onto their side. You really couldn't do a lot more if there was somebody in the corner or somebody keeping you honest down the wire. Here you see games that just come like that quick, where it's 4-on-4, and then all of a sudden it just hits the fan. I call it the feeding frenzy starts, and bodies start walking off like that. Like before we can even tell you how the players are being eliminated, it's just G4.
Wait, we've seen it's just immediately G4. Now, I think that's a good point, actually. This seems to be very much a counterpunch field. And also, I think that I'm excited about watching the games tomorrow, because I think that we're going to see some very interesting, kind of chaotic, charismatic games out of the best players, because of the nature of the ability to play both sides of this field. Another thing that we've seen, like earlier on today when I was watching the Infamous play Ironman, you know, that was one of those, like, we had this one point where Kyle Spica off the break runs all the way onto Infamous' side of the field. They end up taking, it was a 5-on-2, or 5-on-3 rather. And then, so he made a great move by keeping his eyes up, looking at the streams. No one was shooting at him. He just took everything he possibly could. It was a great move. He ends up getting shot at by getting a little too greedy. And then Justin Swartz turns the tables and does the same sort of superstar move by just seizing that advantage. And I think that windows like that exist on this field if you're looking for them. And I think that that's going to be a differentiator out there, is the teams that have the, the ability to look for those windows are really going to excel. Oh,
yeah. No, it's... I mean, a 5-on-3 should never be lost. You know, like they come shoot it, bunker our guy out, we shoot him. It shouldn't happen on this field, and it's a testament to how good the players are on these upper echelon teams. I mean, there's some newer teams, you know, like Cross-Eyed getting their feet planted in this league, and they're learning and doing well. All their fans back home, you know, I'm sure these guys are going to start to pick it up. But these guys are good. I mean, you know, like you look at a team like Impact, for instance. I mean, we got Chad George out there right now, Montresor, Yakima. I mean, Moorhead on the other side.
That's a solid lineup. Well, I think that on the top level, the upper echelon teams, we watch the breakout. But the top level, literally, they're all all-star teams, essentially. All right, so on the breakout, looks like, Aftershock losing McCurley, trying to break out to the corner on the Snake side of the field.
Impact lost Chad there, as you see him walking off, trying to take the Snake on the go. Kind of a tough run when you got two guys in that back center like Shock does, and a lot of teams do. You look at both teams right now, have two in the home. We call it on Dynasty has split guns, one each way. You know, it gets a little tight back there for him.
It does.
This is where Shock's got Drew, I believe, into the Dorito 1. And these guys have got to play tight. I mean, Montresor catches one in the face.
Yeah, Montresor having a hard game so far. And it looks like neither team really with a big advantage. Oh, no, now Aftershock actually starting to take it as they start to chop down, take Yakmek out of there as he tries to get out of that back corner, or back center rather. And here comes now Aftershock launching from that back center, moving up to the center of the field. And on your screen, you're looking at that Dorito side of the field, 40-yard line Dorito. And here comes Aftershock hunting. Going to take out the last Impact player, and that is going to do it. So Shock is going to take the lead 2-1 with 16 minutes and 34 seconds left to play. You know, Mike, another thing that I've been seeing a lot too is that I think just it's the nature of the beast. Teams are getting a lot better at shooting guys off the break as we progress through this tournament.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, some tournaments, and, you know, this is just a fact of the matter, is some tournaments, some companies have better paint, some have, you know, bouncier paint. It's just how it is. I mean, it's the way the cookie crumbles. All the companies seem to have good paint here. So, you know, the paint, like I said, the paint was made to be very fragile for a very humid climate. Here, it's not so much. I mean, teams are having to kind of shoot the harder stuff because it's so fragile, and you can get the kills. If you stand, you know, I call it the 90 degrees of separation. As we look at this field from the side, when you stand in that back center at that breakout station, there's a big lane diving into that Dorito corner. There's big lanes back right out of the back center coming to the snake side. You can shoot people, you know. On top of that, you know, you'll see teams like the Russians and us take a couple steps out of the back center, shooting on the Dorito side, shooting back at the snake side.
Yeah.
Because it opens up, you know, a couple feet, opens up a big lane. This field's a lot more open. You know, it's a lot more open, a lot more conducive to moving. And yeah, you're going to start seeing it. I mean,
that's why I'm really looking forward to, well, as we progress into the day and tomorrow, as the top teams throw down tomorrow during the semifinals and the finals, is just exactly that. I think we're going to see more of what we've seen a little bit so far today, but with guys being able to keep their heads up, put the variables together, and make those dynamic moves that you were talking about.
Yeah.
All right, got about a minute to go here before the start of this next point. Lead is in favor of Aftershock. 2-1 is the score.
Well, this bracket that's playing right now is the bracket we're in, is a complete grinder. I mean, it's Impact. I mean, your worst team, if you look through the years as far as wins and losses go, I believe would probably be Aftershock with a second at World Cup. Impact is one, Damage is one, we know Dynasty's one, and X Factor's one. So, I mean, you've got legitimate threats. X Factor's getting stronger, you know. They got all their guys back. Texas is starting to put it back on the map. You know what I mean? They're a great team. I mean, all these teams, like, in this small of a friendship, we all know each other, but it's tough sometimes when you win or you beat your friends because you know all these guys so well, and they're great teams. I mean, as a coach, I'm intimidated by some of these teams. They're good.
Yeah, I want to pick your brain a little bit about more about that in a second, but here comes on the break. You're looking at Aftershock on your screen again. Aftershock in the black and green, and it looks like finally they're able to get 5 alive.
Shock 5 alive. Impact loses their Dorito corner. Impact kind of bottled up right here. You've got 4. Those 4 on the screen are just holding tight, hoping, well, Shock, like I was just about to say, Shock's now lost 2, letting Shock make the next mistake. You know what I mean? Hold these lanes. Like the guy on Aftershock here is not in the snake, as we can see on the screen. He's not in there yet, but their guys are, like the guy in the little Dorito you can see on the Impact side is going to keep shooting where he's going to go. The back center is going to keep shooting there.
And Impact's doing a great job of putting a lot of paint on Aftershock and not letting them make a move out of that insert bunker. I mean, you can see that bunker is literally just exploding with paint right now.
Yep. Now those guys are trained. I mean, you got right there on that screen, you've got a snake side guy shooting there. Now Tim, it looks like he's going to move up there and lock that down. That's a good lockdown spot. And, you know, Impact was down 1, and now they're up 1. Shock's got 3 guys on the field. Impact has 4 on the field. You know, who's the next one to, as I call it, plays catch? You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
That's Moonville. He's looking to get in there. He's breaking some paint, like I said. He's squeegeeing his gun out.
Yeah, the paint seems to definitely be fragile. I mean, you can see that, you can kind of tell too by how much paint's on the bunkers, really kind of indicates how fragile that paint is. If the paint's a little bit harder, you're going to see less of those explosions on the bunkers. But I mean, that bunker, these insert bunkers right behind the snake are just completely covered in paint. Kind of speaks to what you were talking about earlier, is the fragileness of the paint that was made for this event. And the equipment is, you know, paintball is definitely, it's interesting. You have this very complex mixture of equipment, mental tenacity, and physical skill that all has to be kind of mixed into one big heap in order, and you got to have to get the best out of every single one of those components in order to really make your run.
Yeah, I mean, it's different. It's different from the pros to, you know, your Division 1 and down to Division 2, Division 3, like all my friends back home in California that play X-ball. It's different, you know, like they want hard paint that'll get out of their guns. These guys, most of these pro teams are willing to break paint in their barrels to be able to get a ball to break on you.
Well, it's like we used to say back in the day. It's like, you know what, I may break a few in my barrel, but I'm never going to bounce one off you.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's definitely the price that you pay, and it's definitely worth it. As we see Impact starting to get chewed up a little bit here by Aftershock as they're making moves up the center. Also have a player in Snake 1. However, Impact better field position on the Snake side of the field.
A shot from coast to coast. The back right Impact player shot, I believe, over the A and shot the Dorito side Aftershock guy out in the face.
Yeah.
In the face.
And Johnny Schultz in here in Snake 2.
We now have a 2-on-2. Johnny Schultz has got smash paint. Moonville's got smash paint.
It's a complete snake side battle right here. There is an Aftershock player on the inside at the stand-up temple. So a little bit better even field position for Aftershock, but then again, Impact does have the penetration here on the snake side of the field. But he really doesn't have anyone to shoot at cross field anymore. It's just everyone's on the snake side.
Tell you right now, the next guy that gets shot loses the game for their team.
Oh, absolutely.
Unless these snake guys trade, then we go to a 1-on-1. But This is where you got to play tight, you know. Schultz is really having a hard time. He keeps squeegeeing that barrel out. Looks like his hopper's having issues. He's loading his last clip right now.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope too. Once you start breaking a couple, they start to come with a little bit more frequency after
Becomes
that.
a spaghetti maker.
Yeah.
Start blowing
just
it.
snow blowing, just gelatin flakes out of the end of your barrel. So this is going to be a tense moment right here because these teams are very closely evenly matched, at least right now as far as the point spread is concerned. 2-1 in favor of Aftershock, and both teams 2 players on the field right now.
Wow. Impact Josh Davies moves into the back center. Not watching.
Oh, and he got a shot on him.
Mark my words, people.
Sam Monville. Josh Davey there cuts to the inside, goes to the back center, gets a shot on Sam Monville, and then trying to do damage control. Aftershock tries to fill in there. Just not really a good move. I don't know what he was thinking to try to do that.
No, I'm surprised he didn't pick him up going across. Like I said, 2-on-2, like that next guy to die or be eliminated usually loses his team the game, and there it was.
Yeah, when you get in that 2-on-2 situation, it was at Yost. I live on Yost Street, actually. That's kind of interesting.
So all stalkers now know where to go. Pacific Beach, California. Yost Street. Or hate mail.
All right, so the score is now even at 2 apiece. All right, so Mike, got you up here. I want to pick your brain a little bit.
It's big. Go ahead.
Your head is gigantic.
It's a size 8 hat. That's as big as you can get.
Is it really size 8 hat?
Yeah, it's really size 8.
Wow.
My wife, she buys them out for me, and some of those don't even fit. So yeah, this thing's ginormous.
That's impressive. That's even bigger than like Yoshi's head. Yoshi's like one of the biggest heads. And actually, Glenn Takamoto also has a big head too.
Yeah, I got them dwarfed.
Yeah.
Dwarfed. Their hats look like little yarmulkes with bills on top
Well, that means
of
you have a bigger brain than everyone.
Why I'm the coach. Why I'm the coach, and I'm never
wrong. That is
wrong.
why you're the coach. All right, so you're the coach. So Dynasty on pretty historic run so far. You guys have won every single event this year, and we're up here kind of breaking the team down, and it's definitely a rather complicated breakdown because there's so many elements to it. But one of the big elements is bringing you on to coach the team. You're a pretty aggressive guy. You have an incredibly high paintball IQ, and you have also the tenacity to deal with the hot hits that are on Dynasty. And I think that's kind of what they've been lacking a little bit, is a little bit of direction, which is why they've still, obviously they've been doing really well always, but now it's just they're a dominant force. And I think bringing you in to help guide the ship has been a really big boon to the Dynasty squad.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a dream come true as far as coaching goes, like it's not like playing, as we come down to 15 seconds here before this starts. But yeah, there's it's an interesting dynamic to this team, which on the next break I'll definitely get into a little bit more. And
looking forward to hearing that.
Looking like we're going to have split guns out of the home, both teams, and let's see who can win this breakout.
All right, so you're looking at the breakout right now on your screen. That's Aftershock all the way into Snake 1 off the break.
And gets shot in the head. Back center, looped one over that beam.
And McCurley, if he had just stayed in Snake 1, he would have made it, but he got a little greedy trying to come around there. That was the plan from the start, you could tell. And then here comes Impact gunning up. 5 guns up right now. Oh, they lose their back corner on the Snake side as Chad George scurries into the insert bunker behind the Snake, and then Aftershock losing bodies. But Mike, this is what we've been seeing, a lot of chaos in these games.
Well, I mean, Impact went shallow on the D side, as I call it, that little Dorito out of the home, and he just jumped the guy into there. Stayed alive, let them make the first mistakes. Shock's now dropped 3 bodies. They have back center and Dorito corner left. Chad's looking like he's got a little issue with his gun here. He's, oh man.
Oh wow, he is absolutely snowblowing and blacker and deckering just paint right out of his barrel. But when he's in a position like that, he doesn't have time to squeegee, he's all the way into the other. Yeah, and that's G4. It's just Nick Sloviak about to wear a face full.
Yahtzee.
Oof.
It's gonna leave a mark.
Yeah, that's the one that hurts. Nick Sloviak, the last remaining player for Aftershock, run down by Justin Cornell over there on the Dorito side of the field. I think it's interesting, too, that, the pickup of Chad George has freed Justin up to be able to play different sides of the field. I mean, typically speaking, we've seen this actually a little bit, but this happens repeatedly, is that you get a guy like a Brandon Short or a Justin Cornell that really makes a name for themselves stunting in the Snake. And then once they mature as a player and their team also matures and picks up younger guys, you see them kind of pull off of that central role where they're constantly that first thorn in the snake for the other team.
Yeah, I've got I've got a couple different thoughts about that.
Yeah, me too.
I mean,
it's a kind of a complicated argument.
I think you make your name as a gunslinger, you keep being a gunslinger. That's what you do. It's what you are. It's what you're born and bred for. I mean, BDA, Big Daddy Ainge from Dynasty, you know, I mean,
oh, yeah.
He was the original snake dude that got in there and handled business. It was never a question where he was going. As he got older and he started to break down, he was still heading to the snake.
Yeah. Well, and we've actually, you know, we talk about this a lot actually during the webcast because it's an important point of contention because there is an argument for both sides. I remember having a talk with Brandon Short, this is maybe 2 years ago, and he was telling me how he was frustrated that he was getting pigeonholed as a snake player and he felt that his game, he could diversify his game. And I said, look, man, if you're the baddest linebacker in the league,
that's what you do.
That's what you do. Do you think that if you go to the coach and you're like, hey, man, you know, I'm really getting bored of playing linebacker. I think I kind of want to play strong safety. That guy's going to laugh at you.
Yeah,
that's not what you do. Now, this game, paintball is a lot different than baseball or football, but at the same time, you can absolutely make an argument. And I side with you on that. It's like, look, if you're one of the best snake players in the game, and that's your bread and butter, and you're amazing at that, then
well, like for us, Alex Goldman. I mean, maybe people may not know who he is yet.
I don't know how they wouldn't know who he is.
I mean, he's a monster. The kid is phenomenal shape. He's getting smarter. He's had gun skills since day one when he was just a little pup at SC Village. But he's getting smarter, and that's what he does. He knows it. Like yesterday when we were in a penalty, I think with X Factor, 4-on-5, and he took the snake on the break, went down, shot everybody out, and then we killed the penalty. He knows that's his job. I don't look at him and go, like, God, Mouse, can you please get in there? I looked at him, he looked at me, and he said, you thinking what I'm thinking? And I said, yeah, roll it, baby. And he knew he was rolling the dice. He was heading to the snake. I didn't even have to say snake to the kid.
Yeah.
Here we have double home. Shock loses their wide guy. Impact loses their wide guy on the snake side. Shock made the Dorito corner. Impact went shallow. Whoop.
Yeah, and it looks like Impact loses another player. That's Justin Cornell.
As Shock loses another one out of the back center. It's just a
it's a bloodbath out there. And then the back center as well catches the ball. That was so seen. And you can see that was a bad death for him out of that back center. He just got caught being a little bit lazy in that. And
Shock now has 2 on the field. Impact now has 3 on the field. But Shock definitely has that second Dorito, or the first Dorito. Ooh, Tim's in the snake. Tim Montressor, a really underrated player. If anybody doesn't know who he is back home. Drew Templeton right here coming into snake. Drew is a monster too.
Yeah, Drew is a monster. Drew, I think, you know, Tim is an underrated player because he's a pretty modest guy. He doesn't talk about himself a lot. But if you've been a fan of paintball or been watching paintball or following it at all on the top level for any one of the past 5 or 6 years, you should know Tim's name. Yeah. He was the captain and leader of the All-Americans, the Philly Americans, and when they won a championship, and he's one of the more consistent guys. I was actually talking about him earlier in an argument about penalties. In 2008, he was one of the most, if not the most, penalized player in the league. The very next year, didn't get 1 penalty the entire season.
You know, and those statistics are interesting. I like looking at statistics. One thing about that is his roles where people play. You know, Tim, as he's gotten a little older and maybe gained a pound, maybe 2, in his career, has kind of moved further back down the field. It's like Oliver. Oliver was penalized heavily, you know, in years past. Alex Goldman, Zach Wake from Infamous. These dudes got a lot of the loads on their shoulders. Ooh, Impact loses their D-side corner.
Ooh, that's a bad
And there goes Josh Davey,
gets
shot, and now Tim Montressor is about to get runded down.
So here comes Shock, going to tie it up. Runs down Tim. Nice job by Drew Templeton over here on the snake side of the field. Here comes Chicago. Aftershock tying it up at 3 apiece with 8 minutes and 27 seconds left to play. Got a great game here in front of us. I'm Matty Marshall. I'm up here with Mike Hinman, coach of Team Dynasty. Was a player for a long time as well, played for Aftershock, played for Dynasty, and then the founder and owner of Aftermath, which was a very successful franchise as well. And now you're coaching the boys again. And how does it feel to come back home and kind of really be directing the ship and also, honestly, be just incredibly successful so far this year?
I mean, success is good, you know. I mean, I guess it makes it worth spending so much time away from my wife and kids, you know, and my family that is my biggest priority in my life. Mm-hmm. So I guess winning helps, you know what I mean? But for me, it's coming full circle, you know, like Aftermath, as my playing career, Aftermath was started in the shadow of Dynasty to be a team that we could play against. We never dreamed that they would get so good, and I made a commitment to the kids, and I lived it out. By the end, we were down to just a couple originals, 1 or 2. So then it was time to shut it down, and coming back here feels good because this is where it all started, you know. Dynasty allowed them to get good. I mean, they could have stole Mouse. They could have stole, like the Ironman stole a bazillion of my players. They could have done that, and they didn't, and it was righteous of those guys not to do that. So it was a perfect fit, you know.
Well, and it totally comes full circle because now you have a guy like Dalton Vanderbilt and Mouse, and we haven't talked about Dalton yet, but I think he's a big addition to the Dynasty squad. Mike Mesa, Tyler Shelton. It's like
Mike McCormick, our 11th guy that's not in there right now, is another one of mine. I mean, you've got Stephen Pitts, another one of my guys.
You picked up Stephen Pitts.
If you count our 11th guy, there's 6 guys on this team that are Aftermath.
Which is awesome. It's a very interesting thing to think about too, because it really it is that Southern California kind of style of ball that like you said, Aftermath started in Shadow Dynasty, then you guys became your own beast and had success, and then but at the same time now everyone's kind of back under that Dynasty banner now, and really it was like all of that seasoning and all that work you put into Aftermath. It was almost like the precursor and just it's its own story, but at the same time, when you would tell the whole Dynasty story, that would be part of the story. You know, it would be, especially now that you guys are writing a new chapter in Dynasty. All right, so here we go. Aftershock on the breakout.
Impact right up the center. Smart move. I mean, Shock's been shooting so heavy on the outside, trying to kill those corners, that they probably felt there wasn't going to be a gun looking up the center, and I believe that's Chad George standing behind the Race 2 box, or the X box as we would all call it. And he's shutting down that snake. I mean, if somebody tries to fill out, they're going to be in a world of hurt.
Yeah,
it's a static game. I mean, Drew's taking a look out. Now back in. Only guy that's really going to stop him now is if that Dorito corner on Shock moves up. You could, from that can, he could loop one over if he stands back from the view we can see on the screen. But it is a static game. I mean, who wants to make the first mistake? This is what it comes down to.
Yeah, and you see that. It does, I wouldn't say, well, sometimes it slows down, but with Justin making a big move like this up the center, that's not slow at all. That's actually one of the more aggressive moves we've seen. Not a lot of guys are using that center. We haven't really seen people go up there, though I haven't seen a guy get shot off the break trying to get up the center. Everyone that's tried that move has made it up there alive. Though it hasn't been tried a lot, so that's not a really good sample size.
And you just see people squeegee him. I mean, like Moorhead's back. He's had to go back. He went backwards to grab a squeegee. I mean, everyone is swabbing through.
Well, I think it goes back to what you're saying, and it's very intelligent actually on the part of the manufacturers to make a paintball that can combat the humidity that we normally see in Chicago. I mean, we've been in Chicago for well over a decade, actually a decade and a half, and traditionally this is one of the hotter, more humid tournaments of the year.
Oh, this is miserable.
Which is the opposite of what it is right now.
Yeah.
I mean, right now it's 75 degrees, maybe a little bit hotter, but with a slight breeze. I mean, it's a really nice paintball day, slightly overcast. And
Ryan Moorhead was just picked out of the Dorito side for Impact, now leaving it 5-on-4. But Impact has good spots. I mean, you got a guy in that center A that's just, he looks like he's in the open. There's no angle on him right now. Ooh, Impact has made the snake. Keep your booty down, boy.
Yeah, but that's a real, I think that's Sosine, and he's real tall. He's going to be able to get a shot potentially in it. Yeah,
he's got one on his booty.
That shot. Because he's so tall, he's able to actually get the shot over the top, which a lot of players aren't as tall as he is, so that's actually a good shot. He's able to take out Zach Yakmak, and here comes now Cornell trying to do somewhat of damage control. He might have got nicked in his pack. Ref is going to get in there and check him out. But it looks like,
no.
Yeah, I think he might be clean. Yeah, so he's clean. 3 players left alive for Impact and 5 cross field for Aftershock. You're looking at Chris Sosine right now, squeegeeing his barrel.
There we go. This could be a big, shoot him. Yep. Aftershock sees the snake move, counters it, and as he's countering it, the guy behind him, which I believe is actually Chad. Is that Chad George?
That's Chad George.
Chad
and
George,
Schultz is in snake.
Chad
2
George
right
now shot are eliminated. Both players trying to fill the snake corner. What I call that is the 2 on Dynasty. He's the safety, if you will, in football. He's the guy at the guard in basketball. He's not going to let him get that big move. That's his whole job, is to keep the front guy alive. And they've eliminated 2 now. If Schultz again, has he had a paint now? Schultz is now picking up paint off of the ground.
Wow.
Shock.
It's one of my pet peeves when players run out of paint, you know?
It's it's a serious lack of common sense.
It's just a mental lapse. You should know how much paint you have, and you should not be running paint, unless it's like an 8-minute game.
Yeah. But even that, I mean, let's make it happen. Let's roll the dice here, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Shock now down to the back left player. Sosine giving his gun a little punch. That's nice.
Ooh, Cornell dodging a stream.
Ooh, Cornell gets shot, actually. I believe we are 2-on-1.
Oh, no, sorry, Chad George. Yeah, Cornell gets shot, Chad George dodging a stream. So it does look like it's 2-on-1, and Schultz is out of paint.
And neither player has much paint
I was going to say, no, I think that Chad George, he has no pods on his back whatsoever, no clips left. I don't know how much paint he has in his pack. He hasn't shot his gun in about a minute, so that does not bode well.
You know what he's going to do? He's going to be smart. He's going to work back across this field. and make this Shock player make a move. And this is smart, you know. The young players back home, young teams back home, watch this, you know what I mean? Oh, wow.
Let's see if Schultz even has any paint whatsoever to trade with him. Nope, not even a paintball left to trade with him.
I would be...
Oh, so it's it's Chad for Aftershock, one of my favorite players on Aftershock. And he's out of paint, too. They're both out of paint. He had enough paint to polish off Schultz. And look at this. Chad George is now picking up paint off the ground as well.
Oh, man. So wow, he's going to pick up a swollen paintball.
It's going to be who picks up the nicest paintball. The less grass-filled, dirt-covered paintball. So these guys are now spending as much time picking up paintballs off the ground as they are actually looking at their opponents. This is when you just hope you magically come across a pod.
He's got a, I thought he had a full one right there. He had a green one. I thought it was full too.
Chad George is literally going through every pod he can find on the field. Let's see who's going to have enough paint and who can make the move. They've definitely got a few balls in their hoppers. They've loaded a couple. He's going to see if they get lost. No, he picked him up. He knows where he is. Chad George able to maintain his composure. Oh, and it's Chad Yaya from Aftershock in front of the hometown crowd, able to take that very long point, Mike, and go up 1. The score is now 4-3 in favor of Aftershock, and Aftershock looking for their first win of the season with 2 minutes and 55 seconds left to play. That was a very interesting point.
Yeah, I'm speechless. Like Maddie was saying, running out of paint should never really happen like that, and it did. And a 2-on-1 pulls out. That right there is a testament to just not giving up. Gumption.
Gumption.
If you tell me on a 2-on-1, that guy's going to run across the field, stick the first guy, run the second guy down, stick him like that, I'm going to give you like a 2-3% chance of that one pulling off. But there it is, 2-3% coming through.
Yeah, and you know, Chad displayed a lot of gumption. That's also another one of those young, up-and-coming players on Aftershock that's trying to earn his stripes, and that's how you do it.
Yeah, definitely.
So nice job. Shock goes up 1, score 4-3. Not a lot of time left in this game, as we had a very long point. But again, you know, it's a pet peeve of mine when I see guys run out of paint. You know, you really gotta,
carry an extra clip, buddy.
Carry an extra clip, and also have knowledge of what you're going through. You know, I mean, there's really no excuse for that unless the point is like an 8-minute point.
Yeah, it's a bit silly. Impact is called. Somebody called the timeout. We're now at 2:44 till the game.
So yeah, Impact timeout. It's actually a smart call. Try to slow Shock's momentum. So Mike, you guys are coming up this afternoon. You're going to be playing Aftershock here shortly, and then you're also playing Damage. Yeah. What are we going to see out of Dynasty? You guys already have 2 wins so far. You took 2 wins yesterday. How do you feel the team's playing right now?
We're playing all right. I mean, we had more penalties in those 2 matches than we've had in the last 2 tournaments.
Who are the culprits?
Mesa got one that was kind of silly. Dalton got one that, you know, I'm not going to question the referees. They had the worst job on the field. It was, I don't understand. Ryan Greenspan got one yesterday. For the ref said he saw paint spray off of him, but there was no mark. Even Glenn Takamoto was there. You know, we just got to tighten it up a little bit. You know, like, what can you say? And back home, we had a good practice with the Infamous and Ironman. Paint was bouncy, so we didn't really get a good feeling for where we could G guys up. I mean, this might sound a bit arrogant. I feel we're a better team than everyone else is as far as our personnel, our roster, and our depth goes, and the amount of experience at winning that we have. To take nothing, I mean, the Russians are a great team. Impact, the rest of these guys. But, you know, there's something on our team. There's an intangible right now that can't really be measured, and there's a lot of confidence on our team. And you saw it. I mean, our major penalties, we wore off the board. I think we had one that went kind of quick, but the rest were, we wore 2 minutes off and then won multiple with a 4-on-5 and still win the point and kill the 2 minutes. I'm pretty happy about that. I'll buy dinner for that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're going to see basic Dynasty paintball. You know, the Russians taught me a lesson a couple of years ago on Aftermath here. We've gotten 2 second places here in Chicago, which is really sweet. You know, not to show everything too early. You don't want to spend it all early because, you know, the Russians, I mean, these guys roll like 6, 7 coaches deep. They're sitting to our left right now. You guys can't see.
Yeah, just nitpicking every single point,
the KGB,
videoing.
KGB is in the house. But, I mean, they got 6, 7 coaches. They're watching everything. If you do the same thing and go to the same side of the field, they know when you're on to yell, you know, Stroika, Dizzle, Vodka, whatever they're yelling, because none of us can understand what they're saying. But, which I'm going to get Rosetta Stone and learn that. But, you know, they know what you're going to do, so it's important here not to show too much. We want to win, but we don't want to show too much.
I think that's a smart play because obviously, you know, everyone's going to be gunning for you guys as you've been undefeated this year, 4 wins, 4 tournaments, and if you're going to scout a team, obviously, as far as, you know, like if you are the Russians and you're like, oh, who are we going to play on Sunday? Who could we potentially be playing for the money and the trophy? Well, right now it's you guys. Again, but there is a lot of levelness as far as the skill level is concerned. And like I was talking about this, and I want to hit you up about this after the start of this next point. But Infamous's all-star roster and their inability to get it done so far this year.
Yeah.
All right, so on the breakout, you're looking at the split screen. Both teams.
Impact player Chad George was just shot in the pack. Oh, and lucky he did not catch a penalty on that.
So two players coming off early for Impact. There's no one on the Snake side of the field. Much better breakout for Aftershock. And Aftershock up a point right now, trying to extend their lead by 1. And looks like Justin Cornell is making moves up the Dorito side, and Aftershock's making moves with McCurley up on the Snake side of the field.
There's one I can't stand. I mean, Aftershock's got this whole side of, oh, wow. He doesn't even see this guy. Snake 2 can eliminate the Dorito 1 on Impact. Now he knows he's there. But you can't let that guy fill across the field, the Aftershock players. They allowed Impact to fill the Snake corner. This now makes it tougher for this guy because with nobody down here, this guy goes down to there into the Snake and just starts handing it out. You know what I mean?
It's a key player there in the back corner on the Snake side of the field for Impact because McCurley does have the Snake. Should that player die, he's going to have the complete run. Here we go, huge move. Justin Cornell looks like he's alive too. Awesome job, potentially game-breaking move, and he polishes off McCurley. Get himself a little 3-pack. Nice job by Justin Cornell to step up.
You know what? Let's make it a 4 because I believe the Snake corner's hot. You know what?
Yeah, and he's probably going to get him too.
Yeah,
so,
why not?
Yeah.
1 in Rome. Smash Romans.
So nice job by Justin Cornell, showing why he's one of the best in the business. And again, he's transitioned off the Snake side of the field, but a dominant force over there for Impact, trying to tie it up there. And that was huge because it was not looking good for them for a while.
No. Well, they had position, you know. But like you had said earlier, this is a counter-punching field, you know what I mean? They're up, now we're up. Surprise.
Wimette grabs that flag, and he's going to run it in for Impact, and it's totally a counterpunch field. But that's the type of move that I'm talking about, Mike. That's the type of move that I really expect to see more out of these good teams and out of these good players. Justin Cornell, obviously one of the best. I mean, on a good day, man, he's one of the best players out here, if not the best. I've seen him play phenomenal before, and he just proved it out there right now. We've seen a couple of those moves. I would like to see more of those when they're available. That's the thing, though. Those windows open and those windows close, and you have to have the ability to not only have, you know, the satchel to take advantage of that when that presents itself, but the actual paintball wisdom to actually see those windows when they open. So it's definitely, you have to have both those things.
That's what makes a great player, and a good player is still just a good player.
Yeah. All right, so what do you think Infamous needs, man? I mean, they have a stacked roster. I mean, you go down the list, and I mean, you've had experience with a lot of those players before, and I don't know what it is. They seem to constantly be underperforming this year. What do you think?
Yeah.
Those are some of my best friends in the game, and
you know,
really like the team.
It's always tough. I mean, let me first start by saying I think Infamous is a great team. I have a lot of friends on that team, and there's nobody on the team I don't respect. But, you know, sometimes it's not always the greatest players in the world like the Russian team. I mean, you know who Fedorov and Mishka and J-Rab and Matt Blonsky and the top guys are. But some of those bottom guys, they're soldiers, you know what I mean? They're privates, they're pawns. They do their job. They're the backbone of getting it done. And it's to take nothing away, and I must reiterate that from Infamous, but you got to have somebody that's going to go out there and put the load on his shoulders and get it done. And JR is doing, I think, all he can do right now. But something about where everybody's playing on that field together isn't working. You know, Todd and Dan Wake are calling game plans. It's tough, man. It's gumption. You know, you got to believe in getting it done and just go get it done. And I mean, I had said at the beginning of this tournament, the Ironman Infamous game was the only game in the prelims that I was going to be surprised at.
All right, so on the breakout, you're looking at Impact on your screen right now.
Impact loses a guy going deep. Shock loses their guy going deep to the Dorito wire. Shock catches a major at 1 minute and 2 seconds.
Wow, that's a huge windfall for Impact. It looks like one of the Aftershock players might be injured as he's limping off over there on the Dorito side. So Shock is just severely hampered right now by that major penalty. Only 3 players left alive for them. 2 players left alive for Shock.
Tough. This is where Shock almost has to blow this, try to keep 40 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, it's a tough call as a coach, too.
Get an elimination or 2 and go get it.
Yeah, they should be blowing the horn right now. Okay, there it goes.
30 seconds left, though.
That's a tough pill to swallow there, is that major penalty assessed. And now So Shock not only down a point, very frustrating situation for them right now. They went up, let Impact get back in the game, and then draw a major penalty. So they have to play this last point with 32 seconds left and only 4 bodies.
Yeah, I mean, Shock wins this match, and they got to play us next, which I'm going to say we're going to win that one. But if they beat us at 2-2, they have a chance of making it in. I mean, that penalty guarantees Aftershock probably to go home, to be dead honest with you, unless they can pull this out in 32 seconds, which I highly doubt. It's
yeah, this is a tough field to score a 32-second point.
Yeah, I mean, unless you G3 on the break and somebody just goes right up the center, but very low probability and possibility of that actually happening.
Yeah,
that's rough. That'll deflate a team.
Yeah, especially with 4 bodies.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what Shock tries to come out and do here. Luckily, I've got my assistant coach, Mike McCormick, sitting right down there scouting this out since I'm up here talking to everybody.
Well, this is a good place to scout games.
Oh, yeah. No, it's definitely.
There's actually not a better seat in the house.
No, but he's got the paperwork down there.
Yes, he does have the paperwork.
He's doing the work. He's the third-string quarterback right now. Young kids riding the pine for us for a year or two.
You got to pay your dues.
You'll see him making the move up sooner or later. Sooner or later, he'll be out there.
So as far as Dynasty is concerned, now the decision that you guys make is on personnel. Is it still kind of like a democratic process between the owners of the team, you know, the Olivers, the Alexes, the Ryans, the Yoshes, and yourself? Or are you pulling the strings on personnel, or how does that work?
Quote unquote verbatim, I have the executive decision on everything that's happening. I haven't yet to use my executive decision on anything and overrule anyone.
Haven't had to feel like you had to do that so far?
Not
or
yet.
Needed to do it?
Except for dinner last night. Ooh, it looks like...
So it looks like Aftershock not fielding a squad and is just going to concede. That's unfathomable. I don't know why you
Somebody thought they called a timeout.
Okay, so I can see Nick Sloviak, who's the captain of the team, from across the field. He's now going over to argue. I think he must have wanted to call a timeout. There's obviously some sort of miscommunication going on as Sloviak is now in the scoreboard area trying to talk to, I'm guessing, Tony Minio, who's the commissioner of the league and overall has say on everything here.
Ding, 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 ding.
Don't know what happened there. That's a rarity. You don't really ever see that happen. So there must be some sort of miscommunication.
They're gonna have to wind the clock back up to 2 minutes. But we haven't had to have too many. I mean, we have had a practice or two where I've butted heads with Oliver, or this guy or that guy, but it's not any one guy. I mean, there's a difference of opinion. You know, sometimes difference of opinion is where greatness comes out of sometimes when, you know, they can get it through my head or I can get it through their head.
Well, that's the whole point. You have advisors. That's the whole point. You have multiple coaches.
Well, I mean, you simply look at the Ironman years back where they had Shane Pastana in there and won back-to-back world championships, and then Shane, because of his life and his family, you know, life caught up to him and he went back to doing what he was doing, and Oliver and some of the guys kind of tried to run the team by committee. Doesn't always work so well, you know.
No, we had that on Excessive too, and ultimately we had to just be like, hey, look, Rich, you're going to have to be the captain. And he's like, well, you know, you guys aren't going to like me as much. And we were like, well, somebody's got to do it. And he was like, okay, I'll do it. And then sure enough, yeah, then, you know, some guys on the team. But that is just how it goes.
One,
you know?
When you're that one guy, one is the loneliest number, buddy.
Yeah. Well, another thing too that's got to help you guys out is you've been winning. I'm interested to see if you guys hit some adversity, how that's going to go down.
Well, you know, I mean, in Texas we lost a match to the Russians pretty rough. You know, we picked that up. It's positive right now, you know. I mean, it's interesting. I think the whole world waits, you know what I mean, to see us fall. You know, whether it's our fans or our not so fanish. You know, I'm not too worried about it. You know what I mean? Like, there's a really interesting dynamic on this team for the people that don't understand everybody on it. You've got the old guard, if you will, even with Oliver back. And then you've got the young kids, you know? I mean, in years past, Dynasty's turned into kind of a counter-punching team, worried about what other people are going to do. And I would say this year we've tried to, you know, one thing in our meetings, I could care less what you do. I'm going to do what I do and impose my will on you a little bit more. And that's something we're trying to do a little bit more. We're getting in that snake, being the first one in there and handling business.
Well, I totally agree with you on that. I 100% agree that you cannot be that counter. I mean, counterpunching is fine. That's an element to the game. It's an element of strategy, but it's not a strategy.
No.
Counterpunching is not a strategy. Paintball always is meant to be played, at least in the very preliminary part of the game, as you trying to exert your will over the other team. Now, you should have counterpunching ability built into your repertoire skills, and the best players always have that. But at the same time, that is not how you build a winning championship quality team. You go out, you put the best squad you possibly can, you come up with awesome game plans, you adjust them when you need to, and counterpunch when you have to, but that's not how you should fundamentally be playing the game. So I agree with you 100% that that is a very true thing. So I think bringing it back to the innate aggressive nature of Dynasty Paintball is a very good play for you guys, and obviously it's been paying off dividends for you. Yeah. I am interested to see how the rest of the year is going to progress, not only on a historic level, but just in general. I mean, if you guys do hit some speed bumps, how that's going to affect
the question
everything.
right now is, can we win out? You know, I guess looking broad term, if you were to look at a year, yeah, I don't know if anybody can do that, but if you ask me point by point, match by match, tournament by tournament, I don't see why we can't.
Yeah, I
think that makes sense. You know what I mean?
It does. Like, and we do have to talk about that, because that's what we're supposed to do, is bring up those sorts of conversations. Yeah. Absolutely. And yeah, I think, you know, when you bring it out through the year, is it possible? Anything's possible. But is it probable?
Probably not.
Probably not. Now, but are you going to try for that? Of course. That's the whole goal.
But, you know, then you got to take another look at it. Do we have an ability to win Millennium MPPL and the greatest championship, the PSP championship? Do we have a chance to go Triple Crown this year? We have a better chance than anyone else does. So at the end of the day, if we lose an event and still take a Triple Crown, that's called an exclamation point. And we'll see. You know, I mean, this game's changed, though. No Doritos side coaching has changed this game a lot.
For the better, in my opinion.
Yes.
All right, finally we get this last point about to go down here. Let's see if Shock can get something going here and tie it up. 28 seconds left. They send a player. It's Sam Monville all the way to the center off the break.
Looks like they might have bounced Moorhead going into the corner. 5 up.
And now Monville's, and he finally gets shot, so Monville's going to come off. But off that, McCurley able to get in there and take somebody out.
I don't know what McCurley's doing. He's here loading his gun. He's got to be
He's got 10 seconds. Yeah, he's loading his gun. He needs to be streaking down the field. And he is going to, still hasn't shot anybody. Yeah, there's not going to be enough time.
2, 1, game.
And that is going to do it. So valiant effort at the end by Chicago Aftershock, but it's too little too late.
And like I said earlier, another 1-point game for Shock.
Yeah, Shock is, just like you said before, Mike, they have the ability to compete. They have the ability to compete, and win. They absolutely have the ability to win, but they just have not been able to get it done so far this season. And that's just got to be an incredibly frustrating thing for them as they walk off with their head in their hands, honestly, at this point. And they're going to have to figure out what it is they need to do. I mean, obviously they can compete here. They're having these 1-point matches, or then they'll either go up and then throw the lead away. But regardless, they got to go back to the drawing board, whether it's a game plan thing, a personnel thing, or whatever it is. Regardless, anyway, we got awesome games coming at you next. Damage and X Factor coming at you. I'm Matty Marshall. Was up here with Mike Hinman. He's got to go down and try to coach Dynasty to a couple more W's.
Definitely trying to. Want to say hi to everybody back home.